children's book in Australia was called 300 Minutes of Danger. It's a book of short stories, and started a spin-off series of choose your own adventure style, you choose the path type books. But in the USA, I did make a bit of a splash a few years ago with a novel called The Lab that I wrote while I was in high school, which was about a teenage superhero. This is like nothing like any of that, so sorry if you liked those previous books. But if you didn't, please give me another chance. I can change. I promise you, it's different. The gist of this book, Hangman, is it's a crime thriller, definitely for adults, published by Hanover Square Press. Oh, it's such a huge honor to have this on the spine. Just imagine for a second that in Houston, Texas, the field office director of the FBI in Houston, Texas has a problem. He doesn't have the budget to investigate all the disappearances and kidnappings and federal crimes and whatnot that are going on. But he does have a consultant who is a genius who is willing to work for free. But there's a catch. The catch is that the consultant eats people. So the Houston field office director of the FBI needs a way to entice this consultant into working for him. And what he decides to do, because he's pretty corrupt and so is everybody else, is he gets he has an arrangement with Huntsville, where the death row is, where they execute people. And this arrangement involves poisoning death row inmates with not the standard chemical, but a different chemical, which can be, which still kills them, but can be safely ingested. And then the consultant gets the bodies as his fee for investigating cases. This is obviously a pretty dark idea, and the risk of doing live videos like this is that I'm not convinced I explained that very well. I can probably do it in a sentence if you'd like. Cannibal detective solves crimes. So think a dash of Sherlock Holmes, a little bit of Jack Reacher, quite a lot of Hannibal Lecter, and a hefty helping of Dexter, I guess. I wanted to write this book because, firstly, I love crime novels. Crime novels are my favorite thing to read. Whenever I go into any bookstore anywhere in the world, I can just walk into any... Basically, I can find the crime section of the bookstore instinctively within seconds, and you'll still find me there hours later reading blurbs and reading chapter 1 and sometimes chapter 2 of the book in the store. So it's a pleasure for me to get to actually write the kind of thing that I enjoy reading. That was really cool. I'm also someone who enjoys exploring ethical dilemmas in the books that I write. So in the case of Hangman, I was interested in this idea that you could have an immoral action that has no negative consequences. So the people that Timothy Blake eats, oh yeah, Timothy Blake, that's the consultant for the FBI. The people he eats are irredeemable, and furthermore, they were dead already. They had been executed by the government. He is not doing anyone any kind of harm. And in fact, he's saving lives because he's such a great consultant. I should tell you a little bit about the case that he's investigating, actually. A 14-year-old boy named Cameron Hall has gone missing. He went missing somewhere in between his school and his house. His mother is frantic, although she's also hiding something. Timothy Blake is assigned a new partner to investigate this, and the partner does not know that he's a monster. So he is kind of treading a careful tightrope, because on the one hand, he doesn't want his partner to discover anything about him, because she's not as corrupt and immoral as everybody else he's ever worked with. But he also, well, he wants to eat her but doesn't want to eat her. That's his central conflict, I guess. This is a pretty preposterous book. You'll find that all the 5-star reviews say, this is ridiculous, and all the 1-star reviews also say, this is ridiculous. So if you're the kind of person who likes over-the-top, way out on the fringe type subversive fiction, then this is definitely the book for you. Anyway, I was talking about the the case that he was solving. So he investigates Cameron Hall's disappearance, but just keeps finding that it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And then a second boy who looks exactly like Cameron Hall somehow also goes missing. So that's the kind of riddle and puzzle that Timothy Blake is trying to solve. The book is full of riddles, by the way. I should mention this because in Australia, where the book has been very successful, one of the things that people have said that they really like about the book was that that there are riddles at the start of each chapter. So, for example, I'm as big as you are, but I weigh nothing. I follow you around all day, but at night I am invisible. What am I? So you'll get one of those at the beginning of each chapter, and if you want to find out what the answers to all the riddles are, you can go to my website, jackheath.com.au. However, I would discourage you from doing that before you've read the book, because each riddle has something to do with the chapter. Each riddle is a clue for the chapter that's going on. Anyway, I was about to talk about the ethical dilemmas in the book. So Timothy Blake isn't doing any harm, and in fact he's doing a great deal of good, saving lives, but he's doing it entirely for the wrong reasons. So I'm very interested in this idea. Can you be a good person who only does bad things if the bad things only have good results? That's the kind of puzzle that interests me. I'm going to hit this little button down the bottom just to see if that means that if anyone's asking me any questions, because as I said, I've never done one of these before. So I just want to, if anyone has a question they want to ask, they can ask it. In the meantime, let me tell you a little bit about how I got into this in the first place. I started writing my first book in high school, largely to impress a girl. That did not work. I cannot recommend it as a strategy, but it did inspire a lifelong love of writing. This is all I've ever wanted to do. This is my dream job, basically. And so I have been writing. My first book was published when I was 19, and I've been writing constantly since then. It's only relatively recently, though, that my novels have started to sell well enough that I could actually give up the day job and do this full time. So I'm basically the happiest guy in the world right now. And Hangman has been a big part of that success. So a few years ago, I was on a plane on my way to the Melbourne Writers' Festival, and I was reading a book that had a scene in it that was so mind-bogglingly, horrifically gruesome that I actually fainted. And I'd never had that reaction to a book before. And it didn't seem to make any sense, because a book is just wood pulp and ink blots. That shouldn't be able to interfere with your biology, but it can, because words have power. And I was just so struck by this. The book, by the way, was called The Cleaner by Paul Cleave. It's very gruesome. Don't read it under any circumstances, unless you like that sort of thing, in which case definitely do read it, and definitely do read this, because that was a huge inspiration for me. The idea that that a story that was confronting enough could actually mess with the reader's head and knock them unconscious. That wasn't exactly what I was trying to do with this book. This book isn't necessarily designed to disgust you. It's just designed to make the readers uncomfortable enough that they want to keep reading, if that makes any sense. I'm a bit of a hack in the sense that my main goal is always to write books that are fun to read. I don't have any agenda beyond that. I'm usually not trying to say a particular thing about the human condition, although if something's been troubling me, it tends to work its way onto the page. But for the most part, I'm just trying to write an exciting thriller with lots and lots of twists and turns. And writing for children was actually great practice for writing for adults, because children... is it controversial to say that children have short attention spans? I don't know. Maybe it's a given. The point is that I'm aware that kids have a lot of competition for their attention, right? So if I write a chapter or even a page in one of my kids' books that is more boring than Snapchat, the kids will switch to Snapchat instead of reading my book. So I learned to treat the reader's time as extremely precious, and that carried over into my adult fiction. So I know there are crime novels that where they're mostly about sort of describing the place or giving you a sense of mood. But for the most part, this is a book of plot. It drops you right into the story. There's cliffhangers and twists all the time. So hopefully you're the sort of person who likes that. I am the sort of person who likes that. So that's the sort of book I decided to read. Look, according to my little clock, I've been talking about this book for 12 minutes now, which is kind of longer than I expected to go. Before I shut this thing down, though, I figured I might read you a little bit of the book because there's one particular scene that I feel like stands on its own pretty well, and if I can find it, that's a gruesome bit. Yep. Sorry guys, this is the penalty for live video. You knew what you were getting into when you clicked your way onto this, because it's oh, here we go. The Witch Doctor. That's the bit. All right. Last chance to ask questions before I start. Oh my goodness, my hand looks huge in there. Sorry. Okay, here we go. I'm going to attempt a Texas accent because the main character is a Texan. So I apologize to any real Texans out there. It's just that I can't, it would sound so weird to me if I just did his voice like my voice, because that's not what he sounds like in my head. But anyway, hope you enjoy this bit. I should warn you, please, I hope there are no children watching this. I know that some of my kids' books fans might have switched this on. Please switch it off right now, because there's going to be a little bit of bad language. I'll look in the rearview mirror just in time to see the butter bag sit upright on the back seat. Motherfucker! I slam my foot on the brake. The van skids off the road and bumps across the dirt towards a ditch. A strap comes loose and the butter bag rolls off the gurney. It slams into the wall and the witch doctor makes a muffled grunt inside. The van stops in time to avoid toppling into the ditch. I scramble out of my seat into the back of the van, my heart racing. The witch doctor is trying to tear open the butter bag from inside. The material is thin, but the paralytic is making him clumsy. Woodstock must not have used enough of the poison for a man of this size. He might be brain damaged, but he's very much alive. I try to grab him. He punches me through the bag, a blow to my ribs that leaves me wheezing. One of his kicking feet hits the handle of the back door. It pops open and he flops out onto the grass. He screams something that sounds like, Yunioko! I don't know if it's a Tanzanian swear word or a plea for mercy or what. I leap out of the van and land on top of him. Still wrapped in the bag, he pushes me off and rolls sideways into the ditch. Approaching headlights illuminate the open van. Someone's coming. I pray that the car won't stop. It's a red Cadillac Escalade with a mud-spattered bumper. The brakes squeak as it approaches. I look down into the ditch. The Tanzanian's out of sight, out of the driver's sight line, but not out of earshot. The side window of the Escalade rolls down to reveal an apple-cheeked white guy in a trucker cap. He flashes a friendly smile. You need help? He asks. I force a laugh, hoping the witch doctor will stay silent at the bottom of the ditch. No thanks, pal, just stretching my legs. Long drive? All the way from Little Rock. It's a dumb lie. Now he probably thinks I'm headed for the Mexican border. Almost home, though, I add. I'm fine. All right, then. He tips his hat. You stay safe now. He closes the window and zooms back out onto the highway. I exhale. That was too close. As soon as he's out of sight, I jump down into the ditch. The witch doctor is gone. The empty body bag lies trampled in the mud. Shit, shit, shit. He didn't try to flag down a car because he doesn't want to go back to Huntsville, so his plan is to hide. He'll run for a while, heading for lower ground where the trees are thick. I'm going to have to cut this short, you guys, because my phone is overheating. So hope you enjoyed that little bit of Hangman. Thanks very much for watching.